Disciple here. All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first in all things and everything. The Most High God comes first. This stream is brought to you by LIVE Products. Going really fast. The last set of punches and drinks in the LIVE brand in this batch I have available: beetroot, peanut punch, banana, and sea moss punches. In terms of drinks, I have Morbi and Sorrel. I also have 2 more lime, and I have 2 more fruit punch. Going once, going twice. First come, first serve. Place your order today. Going really fast. Okay. Just wanted to show you a little bit of Snyderverse art, if you guys don't mind. Here we go. This is from Man of Steel. Beautiful stuff. General Zod and Fiora, Kryptonian Army arts for Men of Steel. Man of Steel. Here is some concept art from Zack Snyder fans on Instagram. Fantastic stuff right here. Okay. Show you a little bit more stuff real quick. This is a lot of art, beautiful art. I'm just going to kind of go through it. Look at that. Some fantastic art by some fantastic artists. You got to give them their props. Beautiful stuff. Of course, this is Man of Steel. I love how this art here tells a story of Kal-El. You see him on Krypton, then you see him growing up with the Kents, falling in love, General Zod, World Engine, Superman, Smallville. You know, it tells a whole story right there. Some other beautiful art here. I think this is great stuff. This is him picking up a car. I don't think you guys realize it. It's kind of small. There you see him pick up a truck to get a ball. That's how freaking strong he is. This is beautiful as well. You know, little shots of Zod and the workplace where he is, Perry White, Lois Lane, his mother, his father on Krypton, and then his mother on Earth. It's beautiful stuff. Oh, this is just a great, and these are all, by the way, alternative posters. What if a child aspires to be something greater? And you see him soaring into the sky there, the clouds. By the way, the clouds here form an S. If you haven't noticed, the clouds are forming an S here, which is great. And then here again, you see the clouds forming an S. You see Superman. The pathway here, and then he's going up into the sky. All of this, by the way, is not AI. This is fan art. Actual people drew this stuff. Beautiful Man of Steel. The young Kal-El, the young Clark, the young Kal-El, looking at the moon, striking that Superman pose. Oh, this is just great. This is a different form of art, sort of like cubics, cube-like art. And look at that, how they did the design, the Superman shield, the face, the head. It's just beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of the early Star Wars animated features with Anakin and Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Padawan. Here's another beautiful one here. Very artistic. I love the art, you know. And again, the art is forming. This is the S right here. You know? And you see, it says Man of Steel. See, there's the S there. Beautiful stuff. You do understand that the S, which is hope, is elevating the man and lifting him off the ground. So it's almost like his cape. You're looking at the S is the cape. It's so many things here. You know, the blue that shines against the light of the white. You know, the blue sky, the blue sea. You know, it's so much to say there. Beautiful stuff, though. Again, here, Man of Steel, and these are all supposed to be alternative posters to the official Man of Steel poster. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders. Man of Steel in theaters June 14th. Just tremendous artwork. Look at this one. Really great stuff. Really great stuff. Of course, you guys have probably seen this poster. By the way, this is a site you can go to where you can look at these different posters, because these are actually alternative posters to the Man of Steel major poster that has been put up other places. And these people get their commissions. And this company, it's a company that puts their posters out there. And I'll show you a couple more. But I just wanted to show you this. And notice there, that's Kal-El's face right there, looking up at the sky when he gets older. I thought they used the clouds to really, if you look at it, you'll see the tornado here. There's a lot going on. You know, it's not just what you think it is, you know. It's really great. Here it is again. And I love how they always highlight the cape and you know, the crest on his chest. You know, it's red as the blood of human beings, you know. Humanity, you know. This is one that you guys have seen before. This one, again, you seeing the stories being told here. Zod versus Superman, you know, Zod and his armies, Feora right in the background there. Lois Lane watching up, and so on and so on and so on. You see Jor-El here. Jor-El right here, you know. Just amazing what you can see here. This is really good artwork. Pretty good artwork there. And this is even more on point. By the way, all the people that did this artwork and stuff, I gave them credit on Twitter so that you guys can always go and see who the artist was that did this. This is even more spectacular, again, geometrical, and there's just so much to say about this. You know, you see the torque. I don't know if you guys can see the torque lines here around the S, and then Superman flying across the screen, and it's almost like a prism, and how it's moving the light and everything. It's a lot going on there. Yes, You'll Believe a Man Can Fly, which comes from the original Superman movie of 1979. And here you see him coming to Earth. The yellow sun is there, and the pod is streaking across the screen there, going to where it's going. Here is Superman in the cold in the winter, and it's almost like he's moving out of the ice. I think this is when he crashed into the Earth, which is very interesting. This one's more of a sort of, I don't know, Clark Kent being, you know, at the Daily Planet, sort of Man of Steel thing going on there. This is just beautiful. This is just him breaking the sound barrier going into the sky there. This is pencil. That's pencil work. You're not just anyone, Clark. One day you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world. And this is a beautiful streak of. This is BVS, Batman v Superman art. Again, alternative posters. God versus man, day versus night. Here it is again. A hero will fall. I remember this poster. A hero will fall. Here's another poster. I did not put this up on Twitter. This is again, you know, Batman v Superman. See false guard on Superman there, kind of graffitied in. I like that they highlight Batman and then they highlight the bat or the mask or the outfit. I think that's very important to point out here. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is them clashing, which is really great. Here it is again. It's a different version of it. Yeah. This is Superman. And there's a lot going on here, but I'll leave it alone. Superman's about to fight, and if you pay attention, you'll notice that you have Batman, and then he represents Gotham, which is why you're seeing all the bats. That's Gotham City there. And Superman, and this is Superman representing Metropolis. Batman sort of etched into that there. Batman v Superman. Here it is, Batman v Superman. Uh, in a way, what Jeff Herndon is doing here is he pointing out different ideologies of Batman and Superman while also talking about the clash. You can see the bat symbol at the top and the Superman inside the bat symbol below. So it's kind of important to understand what's going on there. First, there's a rift in the bat. You see a broken bat, and then you see a healed bat at the base. And you see Superman, Batman first in the background, they're fighting, and then in the foreground, they're standing side by side. So it's just an interesting thing that's going on with, you know, our artist is not just doing art, they're storytelling. This one's more gothic. It's also more horror looking. Superman, there's a lot going on here. So you have the Batman with the two knives through the eyes. The knives end at the eyes of Superman. And there's just a lot of detail going on in there. That it's very busy. It's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And someone is grabbing the hope on his chest. So they reach out and grabbing the hope on his chest. This is really beautiful. A lot of details. There's some blood there, as you can see. And this is Batman, and you can see the blood kind of etching in there. It's very interesting art, I must say. You don't see that in superhero movies at all. Not that kind of creativity. Here it is again. This is a kid playing with his toys. Superman's fighting Batman. You know, kids would like to do that. And you got like a Metropolis building and a Gotham City building there. So there are the clashes. Here again, Batman v Superman. You see Superman, and in this silhouette, you have Batman there, and this destruction. And I guess that's the destruction of Metropolis. And here, Batman is there. Superman's in the middle again, the destruction of Metropolis. This is by John Kevin Lee. I love this picture. It's Superman. Again, notice everything is color graded towards a blue, but yet standing out is the S shield. I love that. And it's always in red, which is important. Batman doesn't have any red on him. His shield is black and white, and that's because he sees things in black and white. You know, justice is not great for him. But he doesn't have any love for humanity or connection to humanity like Superman does. Which I thought was very interesting. This one's interesting in that you see that big heartbeat there. You see Batman, his hands upon Superman's throat. It was really his boot. And this is sort of like the quotation that Harry Lennox said, you know, and when you remember, you know, my boot upon your throat, you will remember I'm the only man that beat you. You know, that sort of what's connoting there. And of course, Batman's heartbeat as he's about to die. Well, fake death. Then you have Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is a straightforward team shot. Here's Superman. And you have the different Justice League members here. A different artist did this, though. And again, great stuff. Great stuff. You know, that's Batman. And this is the last Justice League photo I have for you guys, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League. And there you see Batman in the nightmare future. So I thought I'd share these stuff with you guys. You know, it's fun to do that. All right, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go deep, so hold on to your rockers. Here we go.
Beyond Turkey. Get this straight, everybody. The people running Israel are not Semites. Let's just start with that. They're Ashkenazi Jews from northeastern parts beyond Turkey back in the day. Semites are people from the Mesopotamia region, like the Palestinians.
Like the ones the Israelis are slaughtering.
That's right. They're the Semites. I keep hearing this word, and I got to tell you, you mentioned that guy Herzog before, the president of Israel. He said, God gave us this land. And I say to him, hey, what if I don't believe in your God? Can you handle that? Can you handle that? Oh no, I gotta believe in your God. And you know why I have to believe in their God? Because, quote, we're the chosen people. You're just a piece of crap. Get this straight, everybody.
Okay. Now, what he said is almost true. It's not 100% true. Not all Ashkenazi Jews are not Semitic. That is to say, they're not from the region in the Middle East, which is identified as Palestine and Lebanon, etc., etc. Most of them, like the brother said, it came from the northeast region of Europe, near northeast of Turkey, and that region called Khazaria, which they also came from areas of Ukraine and those places, and they were convertants. Jews did come there, but they converted them, so they don't really have any genetic lineage that leads to that region of the world that they talk about. Where, they say, the Jews had, Israel, Samaria, and Judea. They don't really have a claim. But there are some Ashkenazi Jews who have connections to the actual motherland, the actual Holy Land. So, it's not all Ashkenazi Jews that are exempt. However, he's right about, when you look at the prime ministers of Israel, they're not from the region. You have Ariel Sharon, who's Polish. And by the way, they changed their names, right? Ariel Sharon is Polish. Netanyahu, who is really Milikowski, is Polish, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? All right, now, I got more damning stuff for you guys, so let's get to it. Listen to this.
How they spend it. Well, they don't need. What does Israel do for us specifically?
I wouldn't be able to erect us
So you don't
specifically
know.
either. No, I don't know.
So you have no idea.
I don't know.
Okay, well, the answer is
tell us.
nothing. We give them $3.8 billion per year in aid. That's in addition to all kinds of other special provisions. Israel's the only country in the world that they don't have to spend all the foreign aid money they get on the American defense industry. They can spend it on their own defense industry. Only country that gets that sweetheart deal. In addition, we have a special part of the aid that we give Israel that we give it all in a lump sum at the beginning of the year, as opposed to giving it over the course of the year. We give it to them as a lump sum. And what they do with the money is they actually buy our American Treasury notes so they can make interest. Isn't that beautiful? The other thing is this. We give it to them as a loan, which is important. If we gave it to them as a grant, we would have to monitor how they spend it. Well, they don't need that kind of scrutiny on what they spend it on, so they accept it as a loan, but we forgive the loan. So there's no scrutiny, but we also don't collect it back. There's also no interest. And there's actually no tangible benefit that we derive from.
I guess this video is probably directed at my fellow Jews, but really, I think it's relevant to everybody. And I'm not here to present myself as some kind of good Jew versus bad Jews. That kind of, some kind of weird ghettoized thinking. I don't even understand it. I know I get accused of it all the time. I don't even get it. If you see the scenes in Gaza and your heart doesn't break, there's something really wrong with you. If you see the rubble and the people crammed into tents and a lack of fresh water and a lack of fresh food, and if you see all that and somehow or another your politics or your religion or your ideology makes that okay, then you have become completely disconnected from your humanity. And there's something very, very wrong with that. The defining feature of the Jewish people is supposed to be Rahmanut, is supposed to be our compassion. I guess this video is...
Okay. That's an Orthodox Jewish guy, a Jewish rabbi, and he could not understand how uh, how you're not bothered by what you're seeing in Palestine. Now here is Kassan Kanafani, who is a Palestinian author and activist, and listen to what he has to say concerning the Palestinians in Israel.
Well, if there were no swords, why won't your organization engage in peace talks with the Israelis?
You don't mean exactly peace talks. You mean capitulation, surrendering.
Why not just talk?
Talk to whom?
Talk to the Israeli leaders.
That's kind of conversation between the sword and the neck, you mean?
Well, if there were no swords and no guns in the room, you could still talk.
No, I had never seen any talk between a colonialist case and a national liberation movement.
But despite this, why not talk?
Talk about what?
Talk about the possibility of not fighting.
Not fighting for what?
Not fighting at all, no matter what for.
Yeah, and people usually fight for something and they stop fighting for something. So you can't tell me even why should we speak about what?
Well, stop fighting.
Or what? Or talk about stop fighting why?
Talk to stop fighting, to stop the death and the misery, the destruction, the pain.
The misery and the destruction and the pain and the death of whom?
Of Palestinians, of Israelis, of Arabs.
Of the Palestinian people who are uprooted, thrown in the camps, living in starvation, killed for 20 years, and forbidden to use even the name Palestinians.
They're better that way than dead, though.
Maybe to you, but to us, it's not. To us, to liberate our country, to have dignity, to have respect, to have our mere human rights is something as essential as life itself.
I wonder if you...
Well said. Okay, listen to this.
National law, what would it have to do? If Israel decided we want to be in full compliance with international law, what would it have to do?
In general, there needs to be an end to racial discrimination and the domination by one racial group over another from the river to the sea. It needs to be the return of all of the Palestinian people who were forcibly displaced and have been displaced from that land for a century. There needs to be a complete withdrawal immediately, the removal of all settlements and settlers, and the provision of compensation to the Palestinian people for all of the harm that they have suffered since 1948.
So land that has been taken, again, according to international law, as it is laid out in this advisory opinion, land that has been taken from Palestinians,
Yes.
and where that is not materially possible, they need to
No,
be...
there is no excuse for not returning the control of the land. So Israel doesn't have the option to maybe withdraw from some of the land and retain some of the land and then just provide compensation. That's not legally permissible. What I mean by compensation is compensation for all of the other loss suffered by the Palestinian people as a result of the unlawful occupation.
Israel has valid, long-standing historical ties to the land.
No. Legally, no. Legally, no. I mean, that's the claim. It doesn't have any legal foundation. In the League of Nations covenant that was part of the Versailles Treaty, the Palestine Mandate was supposed to be provisionally recognized as an independent state, a state for everyone, a single state for all the people on that land, not a state for a particular racial group. So the idea, and Israel is a Jewish state by definition, and there is no legal basis for a specifically Jewish state on that land in international law.
So you heard what international law is. This is Ralph Wyatt, who presented the case to the ICJ. And The ICJ came down with the verdicts, and this is what it is. This is why the United States and Israel particularly are fighting and trying to buck against the ICJ. Everybody else, the UK, they're very careful how they step. The Germans are careful how they step. France is careful how it steps because the EU really respects the ICJ, and again, most of the countries of the world respect the ICJ. The only countries that do not respect the ICJ are the United States of America and Israel. Russia even is careful how it interfaces with the ICJ. Even though the ICC has declared Mr. Putin as a war criminal for actions that have been taken against Ukraine and the invasion of Ukraine, even though they've done that, Mr. Putin is careful, first of all, not to go into countries that the ICC has arrest warrants for him. And also, Mr. Putin has been observing and respecting the ICC. The only thing he hasn't done is delivered himself to the ICC. And I think he should, and try and defend his case and present his case to the ICC so that he could be exonerated. I think if he does that, I think Mr. Vladimir Putin, I know they're gunning for him and everything, but he should put things in place so that there's always somebody running the country while he's gone, and but he really should look at contesting those charges by the ICC, because if he wins the case, he'd be one of the first people to win a case against the ICC, which I think he can, given laid out the facts of the situation that happened in Ukraine. So I think he has a good chance of winning that case. Of course, he doesn't want to risk that, but he does abide and by the laws of the ICJ and the ICC for the most part. Russia has been doing so. Anyway, beside the point. The point is, the ICC and the ICJ are the highest courts in the world. As you can tell, Donald Trump is recklessly disregarding the local courts, and we'll get to all of that in a minute, in the United States of America. And I think that it's only going to mount more and more heat on him as he continues to go lawlessly, pursuing lawless action. You see, there's a difference between going against a court or proceeding with something against a court. Like, for instance, they extradited Mahmoud Khalil to Louisiana, even though the New York court had vetoed that, and that Khalil was supposed to be tried in New York. Secondly, again, defying the local courts with the extradition of the Venezuelan people that are not even in Venezuela; they're in El Salvador. And again, this is a contravention of the court's laws and the court's orders. The court, they've been put in contempt of court by the judge, actually. And so the disregarding of law is rampant here by the Trump administration. And if they continue to do this, it's going to really backfire very heavily on them, because even the Supreme Court had an advisory caution about the most recent case with the Venezuelan person. And while the court did not go as forceful as it should have been by forcing Mr. Trump to bring back that person, it went as far as to say that it is recommended that he does so. So the court put forward a recommendation. It didn't have the strongest language, the Supreme Court. The point being that Donald Trump to this day is not looking at trying to get back this person who has, again, there was no trial for these people. They were just extradited out of the country, no due process of any kind. He went outside, as we say, extra law. He went outside the confines of the judicial system, of which the highest level of the system is the judiciary, the Supreme Court. You have the legislature, the judicial, and the executive arm of government. And so the judicial arm of government is a very important arm of government, obviously. It's where it's what lays the fabric for society, and it's supposed to be in alignment with the Constitution. All right. So the fact that he's circumventing these things and trying to go outside of law, it's going to really bite him hard in the ass. He already is bitten hard in the ass with the tariffs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But he's about to get bitten in his ass even worse, and his regime, for going outside of the law to try to implement a policy that Israel has been doing. Israel wants him to do, particularly, I'm not just saying Israel, but the Israeli government the people pulling the strings, the Zionist Israeli government, that cabal, that satanic cabal. All right, let's keep it going. And then you realize that again, these Israeli people, whether you like it or not, these Israeli people that I'm talking about, then most of them are not even Semitic people. So when you say anti-Semitism, no, you're the fucking anti-Semitist. You're killing Semites in Palestine. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, they're trying to bully people, and I'm so proud of Harvard. Harvard has stood up to the government. So one very premier institution has stood up to the United States government, and I believe many other universities need to stand up to them as well and unite. All the universities need to unite together and stand up against the government. I think that would be a great thing. I was listening to Mr. Wolf, and Mr. Wolf is talking about how ridiculous the policies, the economic policies of the United States government is so far, and it's just digging a deeper hole of isolation. Because, like I said before, I said this in a stream long before I did this, that they're isolating themselves, and they don't realize it. They and Israel are isolating themselves from the world. The United States is trying to take on the whole world, trying to plunder the whole world into economic ruin. That's not going to happen. All you're doing is driving all these countries into the arms of China. You're driving them into the arms of China. You know, I'm listening to my Caribbean countries. Trinidad and Tobago, though, has stood up to the United States, and they're still doing their business with Venezuela. And as a result, some of our green card holders and some people who are even citizens of the United States that come down here to visit, they're getting some difficulty going back into the country. They're even asking them to pay a toll to get into the United States of America. So they're giving them difficulty to go in there. But as the Barbadian Prime Minister said, hey, if you revoke my visa, fuck you. I'm going to move on to something else. You know, and I told y'all guys already, I'm over the fucking United States. I don't need to go there anymore. I'm thinking of China. I'm thinking of Africa. I'm thinking of Russia. You know, I don't even care about Europe. You know, my brother's in Europe, but I don't even care about Europe, you know, because the racist way these people move, the leadership, the government of these countries, and the white supremacy that they're trying to push, and the anti-human nature in which they move, you know, to keep their empires. I prefer China to be running things. And of course, the United States, because again, racism fuels this. You know, you listen to J.D. Vance talk about them being peasants. You know, he calls Chinese peasants, and the Chinese say, "Oh, well, we're proud to say that we are children of peasants. We're proud to say we're children of farmers, because apparently being a peasant and being a farmer is a derogatory thing. Never mind, you make the world's supply of food, right? Farmers and peasants make food, right? And China was known for its rice, like India." And they had a lot of rice farms, and they used to give the world, supply the world with rice and other things. And the Chinese moved on from there, and they became a great empire. And now they are one of the superpowers of the world. You know, China, Russia is a superpower militarily. China is a superpower in terms of economics. I mean, they run things when it comes to economics. The United States is 40 to 50 years behind China right now. They're not going to catch up anytime soon. So what they want to do, Donald Trump is trying a Hail Mary, where he's looking to try and strategically block ships from getting to their transshipment points. So the trade routes that China has, they're trying to interfere with those trade routes. That's why they're trying to deal with the Panama Canal right now and disrupt some of China's trade. They're trying to slow down China, which it's impossible to slow down China now because of the internet and the fact that people can order things straight from Chinese manufacturers to their homes, so that there's no fucking shipping. It's not like you need to have a big ship and carry things. That's the old archaic system. You see, Trump and the United States are still stuck in the 1990s. You know, that's the 1990 way of doing something. The world has changed so dramatically. Wars are fought with drones, for crying out loud. We don't need... That's why the Yemenis are kicking America's ass in the Red Sea. You know, you can bomb how much you want. I'm gonna just send out my hypersonic missiles and my drones and fuck you up. Okay? And the reason, and they're so cheap. And the reason is because America has so much fucking corruption. Even their military complex needs billions and billions of dollars they plug into their military complex. And they get and corrupt senators get kickbacks on that. So that's why they want wars. They want as much wars as possible. Because everything costs a lot of money to make. Meanwhile, the Viet Cong beat them with sticks, stones, a couple guns, and a couple set up explosives and chemical warfare. The Viet Cong, who in no way, shape, or form in a toe-to-toe battle with the United States and with all bombing campaigns would last. But they beat the United States, the Viet Cong, with simple booby traps and guerrilla warfare. Nowhere on the level of the technology and weaponry. The Taliban beat fucking America and the whole Western world. See, it worked on the Native Americans. You were able to annihilate a lot of them with your disease, particularly, that wiped them out. You did your germ warfare, you won. But you can't use that germ warfare on everybody else and they will just capitulate to you. No. The world has changed. The dynamics of the world has changed, and information is available to everyone. Nothing can be hidden in this age. Now, here comes an even more interesting thing. Carrie Burgess, shout out to Carrie. More Zionist lies and propaganda debunked by AI. Now, I don't really trust AI, but still, nonetheless, this is ChatGPT. And listen to this lady interface with ChatGPT and listen what ChatGPT has to say about it. This is a machine, by the way, just accumulating. It just grabs information from online, which is the present online, from reputable sites, verified sites, and then it gives you a response. Listen to this. Okay, they tried to freeze the information.
Debunking in another episode of Debunking Zionist Talking Points with ChatGPT, I received a comment on Instagram.
Hold on, freeze that.
So let's talk to Chat about it.
Hold on.
That line is
In another episode of Debunking Zionist Talking Points with ChatGPT, I received this comment on Instagram.
Okay. Have you asked him about the Zionist talking points of we were a people without a land, who came to a land without a people and made the desert swampland bloom? They always insist Palestine was totally deserted and barren. Okay, here we go.
So let's talk to Chat about it.
That line is pure mythology. The phrase, a land without a people for a people without a land, was propaganda meant to justify colonial expansion by erasing the people who were already there. Palestine wasn't empty. It wasn't barren. It was full of towns, cities, farms, communities, culture, and life. What they call making the desert bloom is just branding for land seizure. Palestinian farmers cultivated citrus, olives, wheat, and more long before Zionist settlers arrived. The only way this myth works is by pretending Palestinians didn't count, like their presence didn't matter. It's a narrative designed to retroactively justify dispossession. You can't revive a place that was never dead. You can't redeem land unless you first erase who it belonged to. That's the logic embedded in that sentence. It's not just false, it's violent.
What if they say you're lying?
Then they're exposing the point even more clearly, because denying that Palestinians existed, had homes, villages, and agriculture is the lie. The historical record is there. Census data, travel logs, British mandate documents, maps, photos, eyewitness accounts. They don't actually disprove it, they erase it. And that's the strategy. If you erase a people from your story, then anything you do to them isn't seen as harm. That's not debate. That's dehumanization disguised as narrative.
Universal human rights is not up for debate.
Exactly. And the right to exist, to live on your land, to not be displaced or erased, those are universal human rights, not political opinions, not up for negotiation. If someone's argument requires denying another group's existence to justify their actions, they've already lost the moral and logical ground.
So then how come their propaganda is seen as valid by so many people?
Because the system isn't built on truth, it's built on power. Propaganda that serves power gets amplified. It's not that it's more valid, it's that it's more useful to the people in control. Erasing Palestinians made it easier to sell the story of redemption, not occupation. And once that story got embedded into textbooks, media policy, it became the default, not because it's true, but because it benefits those in power. Truth doesn't spread on its own. It gets buried if it threatens the system. That's why people like you have to dig it back up.
I don't like how you use the word power in a negative light. Our power is infinite, and the people have the real power.
What I was referring to was control, not real power. Control is hoarded, enforced, fragile. Real power, ours, is infinite. It's the kind that can't be taken, only forgotten. Propaganda serves control, but truth activates power. The reason they fear truth is because once people remember their own power, the entire system cracks.
Wonderful. And that's the truth. They have been fooling us for a long time. And finally, the truth. We have the power, ladies and gentlemen. I told you we are the one that keeps these systems running. The only way this system will run is if we believe in it and we believe that the system benefits us. As you can, everything is falling apart now, and the truth is coming out that the system does not benefit us. It does not help us. Right now, we're close to an election that's supposed to come out in my country, and politicians are promising all kinds of shit. But the truth be told, at the end of the day, these politicians who are promising all these things, we know they are liars. All of them. Every last one of them. Politician is so easily replaceable, ladies and gentlemen, because the majority of the work that is done is not done by politicians. It's done by you. It's done by me. It's done by civil servants. It's done by citizens. It's done by residents. It's done by immigrants. We do the work. We make things happen. You know, politicians like to make you feel that this is their initiative and this is their idea. No, the ideas come from you. They come from me. They come from the citizenry. A politician is just good at talking. He's advised by lawyers. He implements strategies through ministries or through organizations that are run by you. He goes to war with people like you who have to do the wars, who have to have the expertise. You think about it. How useful is a fucking politician? Think about it. You don't need these motherfuckers. They need you. And do you know why they need you? Because they want to get ahead. They want to be part of the Illuminati. They want to be part of the disgusting Masonic system where they're seen as the head. They're seen as indispensable. They're seen as the ones that lead the country and drive the country when in fact it's you that do it. You do everything. You've always had the power. You are the ones that purchase. You are the ones that do the business. You are the ones that elect and don't elect. You're the ones that go to war. You're the ones that do all the work. You. And they've tricked you into believing that they do something. And you need to be grateful for them. They do nothing. They're just a face. They're just a front. For policies implemented by a shadow government, generally in the business sector, who only care about profiteering for themselves. They don't care about you. And the more you guys get down on these politicians and on these fake frontrunners, be realizing that they're no different to you, the sooner you take back your power, the sooner you decide, you know what, tomorrow's a day of strikes. We're going to strike. If you look at China, and I was talking to a brother yesterday. If you look at China and the Chinese, you know, people like to say they're communists and they're socialists and blah, blah, blah. But the Chinese, look at how the Chinese move. They don't move singly. They move in groups. They have think tanks. People think that Xi Jinping runs China. No, Xi Jinping is just the face of China. He's a figurehead. The people who run China, it's a group. It's a whole group of people that run China. And if your criticism is constructive, they listen to you. Okay? That's the Chinese system. It's all about all of us being one, and we pledge to one cause, and we work towards it. Okay. This is just a lighter side note. Because, you know, some of you like Ben Affleck, some of you like Matt Damon.
You went out.
You have such great projects coming up. I'm wondering if you had seen
Look at my
how
man trying to
jacked
act like he
is.
didn't know they were taking his picture. You know what I mean? Nobody's fools. You went out there and flexed. Somebody told him the paparazzi were out there.
Look at this.
That's not.
Look at that.
That's some shit. Like, you have to be like doing this. You know what I mean? When you get that, like, it's not like, oh, this was Ken just checking my out. No, I have to respect this. A lot of hard work. It doesn't get any easier when you have the very long gray beard. I don't know what that's like. What's that like to get a gray like that? But he's getting it done. He looks great. I think this is going to be a great movie. That's one of the things about Matt that I respect among so many things is that he just works very hard, and you can see it here. If it like requires a physique for the role, and he's got to be like warrior, he'll go get it done. And he's spectacular. I miss him. He's having a great time. But this is very impressive.
Here is my Middle East peace plan. Are you ready? 8 points. 8-point peace plan. Wait, here we go. Number one, get our troops out of the Middle East, period. Number 2, stop using the U.S. military as Israel's proxy army and stop fighting Israel's wars. Number 3, cut off all foreign aid, including to Israel. Number 4, stop all of our wars for big oil. Number 5, stop trying to be the world's policeman. Number 6, stop all of our foreign entanglements.
The country be so rich.
Number 7,
it will be fair.
follow the Constitution.
Woo-hoo.
And lastly, number 8, seek peace with all nations.
Goddamn. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy that, you know, they're fighting so hard for hegemony when the best way to have hegemony is to have everybody admiring you and loving your country and knowing that your country is handling its own business. If America was to handle its own business, it would probably be the wealthiest country in the world because it has all these different people in it. You see, I don't understand how governments are so stupid. Even if a government was corrupt, if the people are taken care of by that government and they're comfortable and they're happy, if the people are comfortable and happy, of course, everybody won't be comfortable and happy. You know, people are very picky, but the standard of living is higher than anywhere else in the world. Like in my country, the standard of living is still extremely high. Okay, it's extremely high, but it should have been way higher. Everybody in my country should be driving a Mercedes-Benz. Everybody should have a house. There should be no homelessness. There should be no drug addiction. None of that shit, unless you choose to have fun with drugs. Because my country is filthy rich. Okay, but the corrupt governments are so greedy, and the business sector that they take most of the wealth. We're talking trillions of dollars. Okay, they hoard and they fatten themselves. Now, having said that, my country is still extremely rich. Okay, my country has one of the highest per capita incomes anywhere in the world. Okay, we rival, the Middle East. We rival Saudi Arabia and all those countries. Okay. Now, having said that, here's the problem. The problem is that the United States should be in that conversation. There shouldn't be Skid Row in the United States. Their infrastructure shouldn't be breaking down like it does, the subways and the highways and freeways and their transit system should be up to point. They should have rapid rails everywhere in the country. You should be able to get from one point of the country to the furthest end of the country within a couple hours. That's not the case in the United States of America. They're still backward. Their technology, everything has just stopped since 1990s. Okay. There's no infrastructural development. There's so much industries that the United States should have been building But because they were so corrupt and always the corporations always try to hoard money instead of distribute it properly, reimburse, reinject, reinvest into the human resource in the United States of America, it is just decaying and decaying. The middle class is almost vanishing away. Meanwhile, China is doing the opposite. China is thriving, doing well. The suburban middle class of China is the size of the American population. You have 300 million people who are in the middle class in China. You have 900 million people who are in the working class in urban China. That's how crazy the divide is. The Chinese are doing exceptionally well. And not only that, but because of the cheap labor and they are able to go into different countries, the Chinese have the representation in every single country of the world. Nobody talks about this, but China, they literally have people and business in every single fucking country of the world. Okay? So that's another crazy thing about the Chinese. As I said before, America's like 40 years behind China right now. They're not going to catch up with them. They're just not going to catch up with them. Okay? So, you know, they talk about China and China. Trump always like to blame China for everything, you know? Meanwhile, he's sucking the fuck out of the Wall Street stock exchange. You know, they're making profits off of the drop in prices. They buy, and then they sell when the prices go back to normal. And the tariff wars is just disaster right now. The tariff war that he's trying to put on the world is a disaster. It's just stupid what they're doing. It's so stupid what they're doing. And I mean, history is going to look very cruelly on the Trump administration. And unfortunately, all of that ground lay work was laid out by the Biden administration. Trump is just doing more of what Biden was doing. He started off good. He started off, you know, halting the ban on TikTok, he disabled USAID, which I'm all for. I know they can always put that money if they want to. I don't know if they're doing it, but they can always channel that money from USAID that needs to really go to countries that really are in need, like the retroviral treatments and stuff that's inside of the United States as well. They can do that as just reinvent another organization for that. Okay, so they can still handle that situation. The thing is that what they're doing, or are they consolidating all those monies, the Social Security, dismantling Social Security and all these things? Are they going to put something else in place for that? Or are they going to privatize Social Security like Elon Musk wants to do? The things that the U.S. government are doing are not helping the American people. It's helping American interests in terms of the big corporations, but it's doing absolutely fucking nothing for the people, right? You have not, you're withholding taxes from the rich and you're taxing the poor. You're fucking taking away all protections from poor and middle class people. In the meantime, you're assuring that the rich and wealthy continue to have immunities and protections. And Richard Wolff was saying, this is showing the results. This is the results of a decaying empire, an empire that's on the fall, because you can tell that the rich people are trying to get as much as they can get, suck the country dry, and then leave. They don't give a fuck about the people. Okay. And that's what you guys have to realize. And everybody's been talking about this revolution that needs to happen. Well, the revolution is very simple. You don't have to buy into this bullshit anymore. You don't have to feed and serve a system that is sucking you dry. You need to detach yourself from it. You need to detach yourself from the federal government because it's flawed and it's faulty. You can hold on to the judicial system. Anything that's working and still working relatively correctly, you hold on to the judicial arm of government. The executive branch, you need to divorce yourself from that. You need to divorce yourself from Congress. It's corrupt. You can look in the individual states and decide if you want to keep that Congress or not. It's up to you as the American people to take action on these things. You're not powerless. You are the most powerful of all these things because these things are supposedly done on your behalf. This is not a feudal system where there's a king or a queen and the people serve the king and the queen. This is a democratic system where your voice and your actions matter. And the more of you take action is the more power you flex. because you have so much power as a plural, shall I say? Okay, there are 300 million of you. There's only a few politicians, and then there's a few people who are oligarchs, maybe a couple million. Okay, but there's 300 fucking million of you. You outnumber them, and you do everything. You outnumber. Let me say it again, because you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. You are the police force. You are the military. You are the lawyers. You are the doctors. You are the teachers. You are the motherfucking intelligence of the United States of America. All those agencies can't operate without you. Do you hear me? Are you listening? You are what keep the country running, not these fucking politicians. And you do it day in, day out. The power's in your fucking hands to decide if this is what you want to do, or if this is not it, then something else needs to be done. As China said, you need a revolution to go back to first principles. And all of you who are fucking racist, you need to get over that shit, because they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about humanity. What fucking thing do you not understand about that? They're going to use you, and when you don't matter anymore, they're going to dispose of you. Right now is a good time to stand up to them and to fight back. Fight back for the institution's purity. Fight back for the purity of the Constitution, what it was really meant to be. Even the founding fathers didn't understand the extent to which it was. You have the opportunity to make that thing right. And America has the money. Don't let these motherfuckers fool you. They want to grab as much money as they can. There's enough money in the United States of America for every single American citizen to be covered by proper insurance, for every single American citizen to have a home to live in, for every single fucking American citizen to be driving in a proper vehicle, to have proper industry. There's so much shit that needs to be done in America that needs to be repaired, upgraded, fixed. And there's so many qualified skilled people in America who can do this. Whether private companies need to be on contract to do these things, or the government itself needs to bring in government agencies to do it, it can be done. But America needs to stop, as the gentleman was saying, dabbling in all the world's business and focus on itself and fixing its problems that it has inside of its own fucking country. And if it's the best that it can be, just like how China is the best that it could be, it will be a force to reckon with. Now, the people in power don't want this to happen. The people who we've given power to, they don't want it to happen. In my country, it's the same thing, because they get the wealth. They get the cream of the crop. They get to manage the money, and they get to steal and pilfer. There are multi-billionaires in my country who are politicians. They go into politics not to help the people. That's a lie. They go in to benefit themselves. I see them when they come out of office. They have 7, 8, 9 different businesses, all family related. The corruption is disgusting. They do a little bit for the people, and they take the majority of the money themselves. But if the people are comfortable and happy, if people are happy and comfortable, they'll overlook your corruption. It's the same thing with the federal government. In the 90s, the federal government was just as corrupt as it is today. But people overlooked it because things were good. They didn't look at the atrocities and crimes. Israel was beating the crap out of the Palestinians. They were doing all kinds of evil to them. Because everybody was having a good time. Now things are different. Okay. I got some more stuff for you guys. So let me try and get it there. Sean Rain, this is Sean Rain here. He's founder of the China Market Research Group, CMR, author of 5 books, A Split, Finding Opportunities in China's Economy and New World Order. He's from Harvard. Harvard, the university that is standing up to the government right now. And I am so happy to see that Harvard is doing that. I hope also that other institutions, I don't care who they are, what funding they're getting, they stand up to this illegal seizure, trying to seize private institutions. That's bullshit. China is not buying American oil, but it is buying Canadian oil. China is not buying American soybeans, but it's buying Brazilian soybeans. China is not buying American Boeings, but it's buying France Airbuses. China is not buying American beef, but buying Australian beef. China has decided basically not to buy anything from America aside from semiconductors that can easily replace American-made products. America, on the other hand, had to exempt iPhones and computers from tariffs to still get Chinese products. America can't buy antibiotics and rare earth metals anywhere else. China's the only one that provides things. Things are not going the way Trump wants. Bessent, Navarro, Lutnick should be fired. Can there be a more arrogant yet unsophisticated Trump virate in American economic history? And this is an economist speaking. Now, the economists will always tell you the truth. You know, they're not going to lie. They're not going to sugarcoat things because it's money. It's dollars and cents. And the truth be told, America is just isolating itself further. And China is just becoming more of a superpower by these stupid tariffs that Trump put on. They think that they can reproduce the stuff that Nixon did. It was a different world in Nixon's time. The world is different now. And that's what they're forgetting. Never again is now. This is Dachau, Germany, 1945. This is Sikot, El Salvador, 2025. The same bullshit that Hitler was doing to the Jews, he's now doing to other immigrants. And he's labeling them all as criminals with a broad brush, not having them have due process, and launching them down into prisons in El Salvador. Talking to the president of El Salvador, who's in conspiracy with the U.S. government, the head of El Salvador is saying that they're all terrorists and so on, all kinds of bullshit, trumped up charges. Now, this is crazy that these people are being treated like this. And the crazy thing about it, that's even more crazy, and of course, this is because America is at war with Venezuela, a sort of economic sanction war. They're trying to target my country for helping out Venezuela by buying their oil from them and then selling it and distributing it and selling it to the given country. So, for example, Venezuela, though it's sanctioned by the United States of America, and it's really under some extreme sanctions because, you know, the American oil companies can't go back there and exploit and take Venezuela's gold and their oil and so on. So they have these sanctions on Venezuela. Maduro standing his ground. Maduro, he had challenges from the Zionist woman, that ridiculous, wicked, evil Zionist woman who's saying that the elections were robbed, and that's a lie. That's why right now the recent prime minister of my country, he's doing business with Venezuela to help them out because that's our neighbors. And he's also taken in some refugees from Venezuela. A lot of them actually have come across here, and Colombia as well. And the truth be told, Venezuela is literally, I have family in Venezuela, okay? There's no fucking way you're telling me that the Venezuelans that come across here, you know, we need to treat them as other and we're losing opportunities. The Venezuelans are doing things that we're not doing in my country. So get the fuck out of here, okay? And just because they're organized and they're doing their thing, I'm not mad at them, okay? Listen, I have a great-grandmother who came from Venezuela. He went up into the countryside and she lived there. I am a descendant from the Venezuelan peoples, and that's why I have part Taino in me. It's because of my great-grandmother, okay? So this and she escaped family persecution, a family trying to kill her. Anyway, the point I'm making is that, and she was actually a Taino, so she wasn't just Venezuelan. She was like native fucking Venezuelan, like the real Venezuelans, you know? You know, the Venezuelans that you see today, And actually, a lot of the Latin American people are mixed with, Native American blood. Okay, we had different tribes. I'm going to get into that as well. Don't worry. But suffice it to say that I have basically the original peoples that populated this region. I have their blood in me. Okay, so my ancestors, I literally have ancestors from this new world that they call the New World. Okay. I also have ancestors from Africa, and I also have ancestors from Europe, particularly Spain. I literally have Spanish blood in me because of these fucking Spanish people that fucked the African people that were down here. I have Jewish Spanish blood as well. Anyway, so the point is that there's no fucking way in hell I'm always going to be against immigrants coming into a country. Because they're coming for opportunity. They're not coming, some of them come because of crime, but usually when they come in because of crime, this is the point that a lot of people miss. They come in because of crime, but the crimes that are committed are crimes of human trafficking, etc., that happen in the highest courts of the land. Because it's wealthy people that bring these people in illegally. And if we look into that, just like how we looked into the Epstein case, because the Epstein case is just one of many cases that are happening. There are many agents, many spies, many people who do some atrocious, abhorrent things that we don't even talk about. And they're still in the shadows, and the people in power know them very, very well, but they keep everything a secret. You see, there's a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of evil. But that's not paid attention to. Instead we look at the people who are coming across into a country to try and better their lives, and they're the villains. Oh, no, 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 no. If that's the case, then Superman is a villain. Superman came to Earth. Oh, he's trying to take all the resources and stuff of the Earthlings. We should be saying, go back to Krypton, Superman. Go back to where you came from. Superman was an immigrant. So what the fuck are we talking about here? Why all this xenophobia? Why all this hate for those who tried to sojourn in your land? Okay, they didn't come through the regular routes. Some of them came illegally. We try to legalize them so we can get some taxes from them, so that we can get something that work from them. We can get some sort of benefits from them. That's what you do. Because people emigrate all over the place. They go all over the place. My family line comes from several different countries. Because people migrate. Yes, they should migrate legally. Yes, they should do due process. I agree with that 100%. But if they're there in your country, there's either one or two things you do. You either deport them back or you assimilate them into the country. My country has multiple people who have come here illegally. It's not just the Venezuelans. We have small islanders that jumped on ships and hid and then came to my country. We have Chinese that are in here illegally. There's so many people in this country who sort of swerved and bent corners to get into this country. And they did menial tasks that nobody else wanted to do. So I don't buy that bullshit. That illegal immigrants are only there to do crime and rape people and drugs. Some do. We're not saying no. But to who? To who? That's always the question. To who? And who's running the drug racket? You got to have somebody inside to make it work. You got to have an inside man to make it work, right? So who's really doing the trafficking and stuff? You're going to realize it's the people at the top, these wicked, evil people. They're controlling everything. These satanic, fucking evil people. Oh, man. Oh, man. I so love Zack Snyder. I love this guy. I remember when he said, you think your heroes don't embezzle money and steal funds and sacrifice people? Okay, you may not believe that. That's cool. But I think you believe you're living in a fucking dream world. He was right. He was fucking right. Shout out to Zack Snyder. Oh my God. I got to show you guys this. I know this is horrible to look at, but I got to show you. Mutasem al-Dalul, unborn terrorist, according to Israeli criteria. He was killed with his mother in Israel, bombing up their tent in Gaza. He didn't even get to come outside the womb. He was alive, and they killed this baby. Now you tell me who's the terrorist state here. In fact, I'm going to be even more specific. Who is carrying out terrorist actions? Is it the IDF or is it Hamas? I want a straight answer from you. As Zack Snyder would say, wake the fuck up. If they could do that to these people who are poor fucking people, what do you think they will do to you? They demonize him and then they kill him. I remember when Hollywood used to make it a fun job to kill Arab people. They do it on the screen, desensitizing people. I remember I used to laugh at it. It was funny to me. It's no longer funny to me. People are people. Lives are lives. And by God, you didn't make them. Who are you to be God to take them? I want to show you guys something. Fight Back Podcast is an all-American podcast. One day ago, they asked this question. They put out this survey. This is an American podcast by American people. They're not Arabs, they're not Muslims. This is hardcore middle American, hardworking, Christian-loving, Bible-thumping podcast. Fight Back Podcast. If you had to choose America bombing a country, which would it be? Now, America is being plotted on to bomb Iran. America thinks that China is their greatest enemy, so they would want to bomb China, right? They talk about Russia. Russia's a great threat to Europe and therefore America, and they have NATO to try and stop Russia and the communism, right? You have Russia. And then you have Israel, which is America's greatest ally, right? Right? Why is it out of 145,933 votes, 87% of the votes declare that America should bomb Israel? Why? Now, this is a survey that is given to supposedly in the Bible thumping belt of America, middle America. Why are middle Americans voting that America, if they have to bomb anybody, they bomb Israel? What is that saying? What does the American people think about Israel? They don't like Israel. They don't like how Israel has so much sway on America against America's interest. They hate that they've infiltrated everything. And you know what? We've learned that Israel's had this sway on America for a very, very long time. It goes beyond John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. It goes all the way back to even beyond World War I. You think this is a joke? Results be like Spanish, let's go bomb Tel Aviv song draws ire from Jewish group. The Spanish are singing let's go bomb Tel Aviv. The Spanish, Spain. Now, if you do think about this, the Spanish have a history with the Jews. Remember, they kicked out the Jews from Spain a while back. Queen Isabella and the Crusades, the Great Inquisition. And unfortunately, the anti-Semitism is getting to an all-time high against Jews, and that's very unfortunate, because now the Spanish are again saying, let's eliminate the Jews from off the map. I don't think it's a problem with Jews. I think it's a problem with Zionists, colonial, racist Zionists. I separate Zionists from Jews, and I'm not saying all Zionists. That's another problem. The ones at the lower echelons, the innocent ones, the ones that have been brainwashed into thinking a certain way, I really don't think of them as bad people. Just as any cult. And we have many cults. And some of you are not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. I haven't said it on here, but I'm going to say it now. And some of y'all are going to be a little shaken up, but I'm going to explain to you what I mean. There are cults, religion, man-made religion today. Most of them are cults. Now I'm going to start speaking some things you're not going to like, but I don't care. I'm going to say it. The Vatican, all the Protestant religions, they are all Masonic cults. All of them. They are built in a Freemasonry format, where the pastor or the priest is at the top of the pyramid. The Pope is at the top of the pyramid. It's pyramidal. And there's a reason. The all-seeing eye is represented by the Pope. He is God incarnate. Now, that's complete bullshit. Even the Bible, which is actually sculpted and retranslated by the Knights Templar, even that is corrupted. That's why it has 66 books. It doesn't have 80. It's supposed to have 80 books. Islam. At the top of Islam is once again a Masonic leadership. Islam is also corrupted. At the top of, and that's why as the higher up you get in any organization, all these organizations of men are corrupted, because at the top is it's built like a Freemason structure. Okay? Now, I don't mean to burst anybody's bubble, but this is just the way how it is. Most governments and even the system of governance that we live under is Masonic. So when you guys talk about the Illuminati and you say, I am this and I am that, and I go to this church and I attend that, you're part of it. You don't know it, but you're part of it. All lodges are Masonic. All lodges are designed and constructed similar to the religions we have today. Now, I'm going to give you one more piece of thing that you're not going to like, but I want you to be free. So I have to tell you the truth. All of these cults and organizations, they have similarities. And that's how you can know. Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, they are all cults that have been, they get recruits. They come from the Scottish Rite. The Scottish Rite inside of Yorkshire, England, has a base in New York. And the Scottish Rite disseminated off of the Methodist Church, which is also another Freemasonic organization. And it parted ways and it formed into the Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, and the Mormons. These are all cults. But they're not the only cults. Okay? You have other cults, you know, the Free Evangelicals with the Schofield Bible. You have the Pentecostals. You have the Baptists. There are different versions of Baptists. And they all have the same Masonic structure. Now, some of them have been infiltrated. It doesn't matter. They all have the Masonic structure. Islam is the same thing, like Christianity. Christianity fell with the Council of Nicaea. It's very important. Once the Trinitarian doctrine was formed, we entered into an age of cultism. There were popes all the time. Popes are just a bishop, okay? Chief bishop, head elder. That's all a pope is. It's not the incarnation of God. We are all God incarnate in the sense that the Spirit of God is in us when we accept Him, according to the logic of Christianity, that is. Or shall we say apostleship, discipleship, whatever you want to call it. So Christianity fell with the Council of Nicaea. They murdered many monotheistic Christians. Some survived. You have still Greek Orthodoxy, and you have some semblances of Orthodoxy like that in Africa and parts of Russia and parts of Eurasia, but they're few and far between. The Coptics were another set. The Coptics are the ones that wrote the New Testament, what we call the New Testament of the Bible. So suffice it to say, if Christianity is like that, what do you think for every single other religion? I don't care if you talk about Islam. I don't care if you talk about Buddhist. I don't care if you Hinduism. I don't care what you talk about. All of them have been infiltrated, and all of them have this cult-like structure where there's a base and there's a pinnacle. All right. Let me go a little further. Owen Jones is a compromised individual, but nonetheless, he can serve our cause. We know that Itmar Green, who I have already connected to on Twitter, he's one of the many young Israelis who are against the war, and they are not going to be drafted for the war. And they explain, and even though they've been put in prison, they say, I don't want to be part of a genocide. And they're really straightforward about it. Itmar Green is one of a growing set of young Israelis who are rebelling against the system. They have a lot of balls. Itmar Green has a lot of balls because he's standing up to his own government. Not just his government, but also the Zionist entity and the colonial entity. He's basically taking a stand against Europe, against fucking America. He's taking a tremendous stand, okay? And people have been beaten. He's been beaten. He's been put in prison for it, and he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, you know? And Generation Z makes me very, very proud. And they don't understand how much power they're giving to other people to resist. And it's about time we did that. They're willing to sacrifice everything, being put in prison, being killed, being murdered. They're just not having it. And I think that's the glitch in the matrix. These people, you know, the baby boomers are quicker to absorb the bullshit that, you know, governments give them. So the older people are actually the stupider people. They're the less empowered people. They'll go along with whatever, you know, is being said. Whereas the younger people, because they don't have that illusion over their shoulders, they can see the world for what it really is, and they're leading the charge. And no matter if you abduct 100 million Mahmoud Khalils, the world is not going to buy into your bullshit, and you're not scaring anybody because you're the one that's on the wrong side of history. You're the one who's breaking the law. So we should be coming for your ass, and we're definitely going to come for your ass. And that is why the people who are in control, they're so afraid of losing control. And the illusion's gone. The illusion of Israel is gone. The illusion of, America being this nice entity is gone. The American people are seeing and reaping the benefits of the callous, mean, ruthless, evil empire that they've been ruled under for so many years, but they didn't know they were so evil because they never really looked past their own localized situation in their own country. Things were going well for them, so they didn't care. Now that things are not going well for them and things are getting worse, they're able to see what the world has already seen about America. And now they're seeing that America is really about, oppressing people. And actually, the democracy that they espouse, they don't want other nations to be democratic. They really don't. They want them to be under their control. So they're seeing the brutal truth, and that truth is coming to light and in full effect. Okay. So that's my stream for today. I need to get out of here. Much love to each and every one of you guys that have watched this stream. Share this stream with other people. Share this people. Again, all of this came off of a movie. All of this came off of Man of Steel. All of this came off of BVS. All of this comes off of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I would say that the Wachowski brothers opened my eyes to the world. Zack Snyder, fucking Zack Snyder. Shout out to my brother Zack Snyder. This motherfucker, bro. This motherfucker. Oh my God. This guy is something else. I'm gonna tell you that. Now, I don't know, just his simple love for humanity that's put in the film, no matter what these haters try to say about that film, all of those films, and then Rebel Moon, Jesus, Army of the Dead even. Think of an Army of the Dead. We always look at zombies negatively, but Army of the Dead was painting the zombies in a good light. And actually the zombies, were the ones being taken advantage of. And they were the ones, and humanity looked really rotten, the greedy humanity, that is. And so it's just interesting. And all I'm saying to you is Zach is not this dude who don't got something to say. He always got something to say in his movies. And, I'm just fortunate to, be able to have seen some of his films, because even Sucker Punch, man, fucking Sucker Punch, man. Damn, you go and watch Sucker Punch now with all the information that you know now and what the movie was about. And it's like, damn, Zack fucking Snyder. Sorry about the F-bomb. I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean, I just really, the expletive was just really to say, this guy. All right, man. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am disciple. Sorry about the F-bombs, guys, but sometimes you just got to curse.